Fort Smith police are still searching for the suspect in last Tuesday's shooting that killed a 16-year-old. Jasmine Johnston is wanted on first-degree murder and aggravated robbery charges. She's right there on your screen. Police say she's still considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information leading to Johnston's location, contact Fort Smith Police or Crime Stoppers at 78-CRIME. The second suspect arrested in connection to that shooting has been extradited to Sebastian County. 18-year-old Donnie Warner was arrested Thursday in LeFlore County. Warner is expected to be in court for a hearing tomorrow. In Sebastian County Court, a jury convicted a former massage therapist from Barling on 3 counts of sexual assault. The charges were filed against Raymond Graham after he was accused of assaulting multiple clients during massage sessions. Jurors sentenced Graham to 3 consecutive 35-year sentences, totaling 105 years in prison. The abuse happened at the Inner Peace Body Studio, which is also named as a defendant in 2 civil lawsuits filed by the victims. And a major update in a lawsuit that's been going on for more than 2 decades. Oklahoma reached a settlement with poultry companies who were found liable for polluting the Illinois River watershed. Tyson Foods and 5 other poultry companies were found liable back in December for knowing that their growers were using fertilizer that polluted the watershed. A judge tossed out the previous settlement, but now Oklahoma Attorney General says a new one was reached. The companies will have to pay over $44 million for cleanup and will be required to reduce poultry litter over the next 7 years. Well, new at noon, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announced today that Arkansas now ranks #1 in the nation for religious liberty. Arkansas earned a score of 89.2%, becoming one of only 2 states to receive the index's first ever excellent rating. The state moved from 6th to 1st after the governor signed Act 677, strengthening protections for individuals and institutions with religious views related to biological sex and marriage. The index measures legal safeguards supporting religious freedom across all 50 states. For the 3rd night in a row, the U.S. and Iran exchanged military strikes as the battle over the control of the Strait of Hormuz heats up. Nanasaint Yobansu has more details from the White House.
The U.S. launched another wave of attacks on Iran overnight as President Trump says the U.S. will take control of the Strait of Hormuz.
We're taking out all of their capability for anything having to do with the Strait, with the Hormuz Strait. And I think in the end, we will end up discontrolling the whole thing.
U.S. Central Command confirms the naval blockade of ships entering and exiting Iranian ports will go into effect at 4 p.m. Eastern today. Iran launched its own drone and missile attacks overnight, hitting at least 3 ships in the strait and targeting U.S. military bases in Bahrain. President Trump sent an official notification to Congress that military action against Iran resumed on July 7th, as required by the War Powers Resolution. But there is a bipartisan push from some lawmakers to force the president to seek congressional approval for further military action.
You got to work with Congress if you want our help, and he has sort of a go-it-alone approach, which works for a short time but does not work in the long run.
We will continue to use every legislative tool available to end Donald Trump and the Republican reckless and costly war of choice in Iran.
Senate Democrats say they will push for a vote this week on a new bill to rein in the president's ability to wage war with Iran. Nanasaint Yobansu, CBS News, the White House.
Even though AI has soared in use, the FBI says it's also giving child exploitation offenders new ways to create illegal content. Investigators in Benton County say they've had multiple open cases on it right now, seeing it first 3 years ago. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach shows us why prosecutors say it could keep growing.
According to the FBI Little Rock office, reports of AI being used to create or manipulate this harmful content have grown from nearly 5,000 in 2023 to about 182,000 in 2025. That increase is why prosecutors say they're working to keep up with the technology that's changing faster than ever.
In a world where there's a screen everywhere you turn, there's also a risk.
Benton County prosecutor Brian Sexton says artificial intelligence is creating a new challenge in the fight against child exploitation.
What we're finding out is the further we get with improvements in AI and technology, the more that we're starting to see.
Those with Arkansas's FBI office say investigators across the state are seeing offenders use AI to create or alter these materials. AI can make it look like a real child, and it's adding a new layer to an already existing problem. Sexton says until recently, Arkansas law only allowed prosecutors to pursue these cases if there was an identifiable child victim, but changes passed during the most recent legislative session expanded the law to include any AI-generated child sexual abuse material.
It felt like some of our probationers and parolees were literally getting up to the line without crossing it. And that for us felt like a slippery slope where we would end up regretting not addressing these issues earlier.
Sexton says law enforcement, prosecutors, and state leaders will work to keep up as technology evolves.
They're working closely with our legislators to make sure they are educated and are aware of the problems and that we can address them properly in the next legislative session.
But as AI continues to advance, Sexton says the challenge for investigators will only grow.
Now we're getting to a point where the models continue to improve and continue to improve. I think that will be the next challenge for us in these improvements, is kind of dealing with what that means for the future and how do we find tools and means to combat that.
He also has a message for parents, especially when it comes to their children's phone.
You got to treat it like it's yours. And keeping vigilant and understanding who they're talking to, who they're making contact with, what kind of apps they're putting on their phone.
The FBI also encourages parents to think carefully about what photos of their children are shared online, saying even an innocent image can be, quote, misused by criminals. You can report online child exploitation to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip line at 1-800-843-5678 or online at report.cybertip.org. Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Today, the Fayetteville City Council is set to consider 3 ordinances related to housing. One proposed change could support housing production and add flexibility for residential developments. The ordinance could also reduce the minimum lot width and the minimum number of parking spaces required at residential buildings. Tonight's meeting is an agenda session, so the soonest the council could vote on these items is next week. Meanwhile, the Fayetteville Planning Commission has approved a conditional use permit for a proposed 14-home development near Old Wire Road. But residents say they wanted more answers about how the project could impact drainage before it moves forward. We spoke with one man who lives nearby who says 80% of the site is within a floodplain.
This is the lowest elevation spot in the whole neighborhood. So all of the water funnels down here and it's high risk.
The commission said many concerns will be reviewed as the project moves through the development process.
I think it's a good spot for a cluster housing development. I think there are a lot of questions that have to be answered in development review. And I think when we get to development review, we can ask those questions.
Last night's vote was not on a final development plan, meaning the property owner will still have to get approval for construction and engineering plans. The city of Centerton is celebrating the start of the work on the town's new recreation center with a groundbreaking ceremony on Monday. The project was approved by city voters, and once completed, the state-of-the-art facility will provide the people of Centerton with a place for recreation and fitness. Mayor Bill Edwards says the center is something the city's residents will use for generations to come.
One thing I've heard, since I've been the mayor is, hey, Bill, we need more, more parks, more trails. We need a community center, and we were able to make this come to reality.
Among the amenities include a basketball court, walking track, cardio equipment, and a pool with a lazy river. Construction is expected to wrap up in the first half of 2028. The Walmart AMP announced 2 new concerts to their fall lineup. Rapper Young Thug is coming to the AMP September 1st, and country artist Zach Top is headlining a show on October 24th. Ticket sales for both the shows will go on sale to the public this Friday. You can find the full list of concerts happening at the AMP this year by texting the word AMP to 479-785-5000 We'll send you back a link to the full list.